everyone. I'm Heather. This is Jamie, and we are in the podcast Life in Motion. I think that's what we're doing.
I hope so.
And we are surviving summer.
Obviously, based on that introduction, we're just barely getting by.
We are here to share with you the trials and tribulations of summer.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. Like I've been sweating
because
since
it's
I
so
woke
hot
up.
outside, or you're
since
nervous?
I woke up. No, since I woke up this morning, I've been sweating. Just like hot.
Yes.
I like to be hot, but I am.
One of my kids the other day, I was like, I'm so hot. I hate this time of the summer when it's so hot. And Chase was like, you also hate it when it's cold. And I was like, I do. And he's like, you like it 75 degrees. That's it. You don't like weather. So maybe true.
Maybe need to move to California or something like that.
Might not be a bad idea. Maybe not to Yosemite, but maybe close by.
Every July, at some point, usually towards the end, B comes to me and she says, remember snow? Oh.
You're like, no.
I wish it would snow. Like by the middle of July, into July, she's thinking about snow.
Oh my goodness. I feel like this summer, for me personally, has been survival. I often think about summer, the lazy days of summer where everybody's sleeping in and watching daytime soap operas. That ages me, but you know what I mean? Just laying around, lounging. And I was just counting up the other day, both my boys play high school basketball. And so each of them, I guess the month of June, I don't even remember this from years past. And Cooper's a senior. But high school basketball, they have like 3 team camps where you play 3 games a day for 3 days straight. So each of them have 3 of those. So in the month of June, and I haven't gone to every game because they're kind of like scrimmages, but in the month of June, between 2 teenage boys that are not playing competitive basketball, there's been 60 basketball games.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're just surviving. And then get up early in the morning and go to Summer Pride and work out, and then come home and hurry and take a nap and go to work because you need gas money, and then come home and take another nap and then go to your baseball game and then go to your basketball game. But I will say all of that is winding down. And I'm starting to feel sad that there's nothing to do.
Oh, man.
I know.
You got to get yourself a schedule.
I know. I think I need a schedule. I came in to record podcasts today, and I need to go home after this and apologize to Chase. But I needed to wait until I could actually do it and mean it. But he and I are just surviving summer. So I may or may not have. I absolutely completely lost it with him over the dishes this morning. Because one of the ways that Brian and I talked about surviving this summer was not a schedule so much, because I just hate schedules, which might be why I battle depression so often. But I hate feeling restricted by schedules, but there's a certain expectations I have from my kids. And he's like, we need to clearly articulate this at the beginning of summer so that you don't have to be upset about things that you know in your mind you're expecting. So we had a family meeting, and it was like, no one can do anything for the day, no screens, don't get on your phone, don't get on a video game until your chores are done, and here's what they are. Every day, nobody gets on a screen unless the dishes are done. No one gets on a screen unless, are we all clear? Yes,
that's reasonable.
Clear, yes. It seems reasonable. Until you're dealing with a 15-year-old who says yesterday to me, I haven't been on a screen all day. I don't want to do the dishes. So he's restricting himself from screens while he sits around on his lazy butt, not doing the dishes. And I'm like feeling anger bubbling up. And like in the afternoon, I was like, I can't handle it anymore. I was like, do the dishes. And he's like, I just need a little bit more time. And I was like, you better get down here and do the... Anyway, it ended up being 5 warnings, and the last one being, if the dishes aren't done in 10 minutes, you're grounded. So today, that was yesterday, today, I'm putting away a few things. I noticed a couple of dishes that he hand washed that still have remnants of food in them. And I lost it. I lost it. Lost my mind. And I'm still trying to decide as I'm surviving summer what I feel bad about, like what I'm sorry for.
You're sorry that you yelled, or...
This is what I'm trying to figure out. Am I sorry or not? Like, I should be.
Yeah. That's tough.
So maybe just for a little bit of the beginning of this podcast, maybe you can give me some parenting counseling. Like what should my response have been? Should it have just been, I noticed there's still food on these dishes. I'm going to need you to turn in your phone because you're now grounded. I mean, what do you do?
I'll tell you what Whit would say.
Okay, good.
He would, because Elliot and I have similar issues where he is not sarcastic with me, like straight out, but it is enough of a tone that you can hear in the tone that there's an eye roll or something. And he knows and I know, but as soon as I confront him on it, he's like, what? I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, right.
You're having a tone with me. And he's like, I just said, okay.
Oh my goodness.
And
I have those same condescending things with this same middle child of mine, so carry on.
So it's like, you just have to come and just put your arm around him and say, hey, bud, I love you so much. You're doing a great job. Would you come over here and redo these dishes? Do you see? That's what Whit would tell me to do. And I'm like, not a chance. Well, I'm going to keep yelling at him until he does things my way.
Number one, Chase doesn't like to be touched. So that would be... that would go really south. If I just so much as start walking in his direction, he starts getting twirled up. He is not, he doesn't like to be touched at all. So I don't know that I could do that. But I am going to go home after this and apologize for something. I just
need to restrict the food or, it's just like, I understand there's a battle of wills going on here and I want you to know that it's my way or the highway. And
that is true. And that is what I'm trying to get across as I'm yelling and screaming. That's what I'm trying to get across. Like, I'm in charge here. We're not doing it this way. See what happens when we don't get the dishes done. Oh my goodness.
You're living with me.
I'm going to work on this. So, I don't know what I feel sorry for. But I did as I came. And this is the one thing that I was going to bring to the table to discuss was I felt like I am on the verge. I've had a really great summer. I think no stress of I kind of stepped back from any kind of work over the summer to be fully present with my kids. And because they had all those games and things, and Eleanor's in a musical, so she has rehearsal every day. I mean, it's a busy season, but none of it feels like I'm required to be at any of those things. We carpool to musical rehearsals with a neighbor, and so I only do half of the work, and they do half of the work. And the boys' games are scrimmages. It's, optional. And I feel I've had a really great summer. So today, this with Chase made me feel like for the first time since April, made me feel like I have to figure out what's going on or this could go south. Mm-hmm. Well, which is silly, which is so silly.
I am a very nice person, but when I'm with my kids, I am pretty much a steamroller.
Like, oh, wow.
You're going to do what I tell you to do, and I don't really care if you don't like it. Even my little girls that are so sweet.
Yeah.
So yesterday,
oh goodness,
I was going to work out. I like especially during the summer, work out at home, so I don't have to get dressed or anything. Actually, full disclosure, I usually will.
Oh no!
I will usually work out sometimes in my bathing suit, so I can just go jump in the pool as soon as I'm done.
Let's just leave it there.
Maybe my pajamas.
Okay.
Or
let's just leave it right there. That's far enough.
Because it's like I'm not going to get another pair of clothes sweaty. So anyway, so I'm just like, all right, girls, let's work out. And they're like, what? Because they're sitting on the couch and they're going to just sit and watch me. And I'm like, no, you guys get and do this with me. And we got out some mats and we were going to do yoga. And there were literal tears over downward dog. When Zuzu,
which is a yoga pose for anyone who doesn't do yoga.
Zuzu is real tall and lanky, and you wouldn't think that this would be a problem, but she is completely unflexible. So when we're going down to touch your toes, like she can't hardly get her hands past her knees. Sure. And so I'm coming up. I had to pause.
No. So you're pushing her down?
I wasn't pushing. I had to pause the video probably about 20 times to say, okay, So when you're going down, you blah, 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 this is where you're supposed to be, pulling on her shoulders. Like, this is your back's supposed to be flat, repositioning their downward dogs. And they're just like, this isn't fun. Oh, this isn't fun. I'm like, come on, you can do it. Let's do it. Let's go. But I am just like, oh, you don't want to do that? That's fine. We're going to do it anyway. I am a complete steamroller. So
man.
later in the day, Zuzu came to me and she goes, it wasn't so bad.
Oh.
And B came in later and she was like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Maybe I would be a better version of myself if I was a little bit more calm steamroller. Because when I'm hearing you say that, I think there's a lot of times where I want my kids to have the freedom to lounge and to do whatever. And so I don't push, like I don't stay on them like a steady drip of just like, don't forget to do the dishes.
Well, I don't
time
think
is coming.
yeah.
I just let it boil up because I'm like, you did just have a game. You are probably tired. So I let it slide, but then I'm unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. I often make the mistake of asking a question when I really, and I mean for their answer to be yes, and there really isn't the option of saying no.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the dishes now before you go play video games? And no, of course I don't want to do the dishes. So to me, it's just like, I need you to, oh, I said that the wrong way. I shouldn't have asked you a question. You're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem right now. Like, is we give our kids too many choices. When they have no business making choices.
No one pushes back against Brian.
Yeah.
And part of it's his personality and everything else. But he comes in and he says, hey, get up and do the dishes right now. Yeah. And he's not mean. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't head doesn't start spinning like I do. He's just like, get up and do, and everyone does.
Yeah.
But there's no wiggle room either. I'm going to have to work on myself. I was really thinking that we were going to talk about how Chase needs to grow up. I might need to work on myself.
He does. Both. But, I mean, they don't know. They don't. Their mind is so small.
I hope they hear this.
I do too. They don't understand the full perspective.
Sure.
They're only thinking, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And they don't understand there's a whole house going on here and we're going to eat another meal.
Yeah, it's
in
coming up here in
4 hours. We're going to eat another meal and there will be more dishes in the sink. Or, I mean, they're not even thinking about how the dishes are starting to smell. Ugh. They don't even care because they can live with it. Yeah. So they don't. I mean, it's like we give them way too much choice and autonomy in, I just need you to have it done before you get on screens. Well, actually, I need you to have it done after every single meal.
Oh, I might have to change that rule. Yeah. All summer until yesterday, it's been fine because they won on those stinking phones. So, I mean, let me just quick check Snapchat, keep my streak alive.
Do the dishes
I don't even
really
know
quick
what
so
that means, but it's exhausting to me.
It's ridiculous. It's only one more way of making them addicted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I read an amazing book this last weekend, and I think everybody should read it with their kids. I mean, it's actually a kid's book.
Yeah.
But I read it. I got it for Zoo. She's 12. It's because it's recommended 12 and up. But this would be an amazing family read aloud book for everybody to read. I'm not even kidding when I say this.
My teenagers are going to love this idea. Guys, let's sit down. I'm going to read out loud to all of you.
I don't know. My kids love it.
Okay. Even your older ones?
They do.
Okay, go ahead.
We never do it anymore, but they actually really do love it. It's called Everything Sad is Untrue. And it is a true story told from the perspective of a child. It's an adult has written it, but he's bringing back his memories of being 8-ish years old. So it's probably from ages 5 to 7th grade. And it's told from this super childlike perspective. And it was just so good. I think all these issues, with our kids and everything come down to, we think, it's summer. I'm going to, our schedule, all that regimented stuff of school, of where you're going to be essentially from 8 to 5 and what you're going to be doing, or even beyond that we just like, it's summer. Let's put on our stretchy pants and just lay around for 3 months. But the choices or the non-choices, the blank space of our time ends up getting us in trouble because
it does. And it's different. I don't really want this Surviving Summer series to be all about how old I am. However, when we were growing up, same thing happened. Like you take those months off of school and relax and do what you want. But you only could watch your show at one specific, the shows that you liked were on from 3 o'clock to 4:30 in the afternoon. Nothing more, nothing less. Maybe.
And then the news came on.
Yeah. Unless you want to watch The Price is Right at 10 a.m. followed by a soap opera. But my kids will be miserable. I'm so bored, but they're bored while they're being bombarded, while they're scrolling through their phone.
Yeah.
Or while Eleanor's on Netflix and she's like, Mom, did you know I've seen this entire series? And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But there's always something for them to have in front of them, but nothing of value.
Yeah.
And it's,
so that they're overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time.
Exactly.
And then they start irritating each other. Then they are without purpose.
Yeah. I feel that way about Cooper coming up on his senior year. I already have people saying, what's Cooper going to do when he graduates? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. But when I was graduating from high school, I literally only knew about the colleges that my family knew about.
Yeah.
Everybody went to Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. And then I lived in Kansas, so I knew about Kansas State and University of Kansas. So I'm thinking which one of those three? Mm-hmm. If you talk to Cooper about what he wants to do, you can tell that if we didn't help lift the burden, that it would crush him. Because it's anything you could imagine is at his fingertips. He can look up every college, university, community college, junior college, NAIA school. He could play a sport at a small college, or he could study this, or he could study that, or he could go. And you don't want to blow it. You don't want to make the wrong choice. Paralyzed by choice is what I feel like he would be if we weren't saying, it's actually not this big of a deal. We're going to take it one step at a time, walk this out.
Yeah.
Here's some suggestions.
Yeah, that completely overwhelmed Lucy during her senior year, where you could just see that she's all internally processing everything and being eaten up by every time somebody says, what do you want to do? And the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
And, it was I realized this is happening, and I just had to keep coming in and saying, we're just continually gathering information.
Yeah, that's good.
We're just gathering information. We're going to wait and make a decision when we know what our options are.
Sure.
Because she's just feeling I have to know right now.
Yeah. Oh man, the pressure. I don't know when culture shifted this way. I mean, I'm sure it's the internet and everything else, but
something electronic that we know nothing about.
That we don't know. Oh my goodness, I had to text somebody at work the other day and ask them to please help me get my giving records for the last year because of some of our investments, we don't file taxes until July every year. And so of course now it's crunch time and I'm turning in all these things and I can't even, I'm looking at this web page and I'm like, what do I click to get? I just want it to tell me how much money I gave last year. And I couldn't figure it out. I had to call in for help, but
somebody young and
yeah. They did it 2.5 section. They were sending me screenshots see this picture, click here. And then look at this picture I'm going to send, then click here. But anyway, our kids don't have that disadvantage. They know how to find everything online and it makes it daunting.
Don't you think, but aren't they're at a disadvantage, I think. And I don't know. I don't, as parents, oftentimes we fall into the trap of, I want the best for you, so I'm going to let you decide.
Pastor Greg, our youth pastor at Church on the Move, he was hosting recently in a church service, and I was so struck by something he said. And can I just say, I don't think he'd mind me saying this, but we have a youth pastor in his 50s, and there's some real beauty to that. So he's not going to necessarily be wearing the latest fashions, but he is a shepherd and a father figure and love on kids in a really unique and cool way. That he was talking and promoting the youth summer camp that we have. And he said, it's for 6th grade through seniors in high school and, all this. If you're not sure if your kids want to go, they want to go. And he said, and by the way, 12-year-olds don't make the spiritual decisions for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That's on you. You sign them up and you send them and they go. And even just the way he said it with such compassion but authority made me feel like, and I don't have a 12-year-old, but it made me feel like if I did, I would have just signed them up right then. Because he's right.
Because he's right.
He's right.
So yesterday was Wednesday, and Zuzu has been going to, she's 12, going into 6th grade, has been going to youth on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
But she wakes up first thing in the morning, she's like, Mom, I don't want to go to 180 tonight. I'm not feeling the best. And I think I just need to stay home. This is at 7 a.m. You've got 12 hours until you
We
have
don't
to
even
be
know
there.
how you're going to feel after you eat breakfast.
I'm like, well, you're going to go.
Yeah.
So just prepare your heart.
Yeah.
Because you wake up in a mood and you're just like, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing the dishes.
Yeah.
I don't feel like reading a book today, or I don't feel like going to work. And you're just like, well, you're going.
Oh,
'Cause,
goodness.
we
I'm
hurt them
listening-
by letting them
make too many decisions too young.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you, and I think I'm getting my own parenting advice that I was looking for when I entered the room this morning about Chase and the dishes, because I think that my frustration right now with Chase is not just limited to dishes. Huge surprise. It's that transition of little kid, teenager, coming of age, but he also has found himself on a baseball team that he hasn't loved. No big deal. But, way back in January where we signed this contract and this commitment to be on this team, it's been okay. It's just been okay. But we hit a little lull where because of scheduling and what happens in high school sports and summer sports, there's been like a 6-week gap of not playing. Part of it was because we missed a tournament because of vacation, and then they had a tournament that was canceled. And for whatever reason, it's been a long gap. It's hard to get back into anything after that long. I mean, it's hard. But he wants to just cut ties. No big deal, be done. And that frustrates me. But of course I get frustrated where Brian just says to him, but that's not an option. We made a commitment and I'm expecting you to give it your all. Like, I'm not expecting you to show up because we're taking you and making you finish your commitment. I'm expecting you to give it your all.
Because you're part of a team.
Yeah.
And you need to stay committed to that team.
But what I did was I floundered with Chase for a while. Like, I'm like, I know, and it's so hot. I don't want to have to go to the games either. Like, I was siding with him. I was siding with the 15-year-old. Thankfully, a voice of reason walked in, Brian, and he's just like, what are we talking about? This is a non-negotiable.
I don't necessarily think that that's wrong.
Sure.
I empathize with your feelings.
Oh, I wasn't empathizing.
I'm going to give space to your feelings and hear your frustration and all of the reasons why. However, your commitment trumps all your feelings.
Sure. See, where I got it off was it was more than empathizing. I used this word with Chase the other day, and he told me I used it wrong. I used it right for my generation, but on the DL, on the down low, and he's just like, that's not how you use that word, Mom. But anyway, on the down low, I was texting Brian going, can we just pull him? Can we just be finished? Just tell the coaches we're unable to finish the season. Like, I was wholly on, I had crossed over to forget it. It's been too long. We're moving on. We don't want to play with you anymore. And Brian's just like, how about no? How about you don't even tell him about this text message? He's going to finish. I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, I think even in parenting, I'm trying to let out the slack so that my kids will learn how to do some things on their own. But in certain situations, maybe I've way overdone it. Maybe I'm letting out the slack to where I'm starting to side with you versus teaching you some important life lessons.
Yeah. Guilty of the same thing where, I am even just too lazy to follow through. Like, oh, you don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to have that argument with you, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to do them myself.
Sure. Oh, I get it. I mowed the lawn the other day.
Oh my gosh, I would never.
I mowed the lawn the other day because I was like, they have been really busy.
Oh my
They are really
gosh.
tired and it is really long. And I'm not up for the argument.
So what you do is when they get home from their morning practice,
Yeah.
you like, here's breakfast, and while you guys eat, I'm going to read you a book.
Oh my goodness. I'm like their favorite person right now. So I may have to ask Brian to read the book at a different time of the day because right now I don't think that they're going to be real keen on any of my suggestions. But maybe if I can start being consistent. I even think with my battles against depression, like today is the first day I noticed like this conflict with Chase and I has got me really twirled up. Like I've got to deal with it, uproot it, and move on so that I don't spiral in a ridiculous way because right now this is small. Just uproot it, move on. But I think I probably need a schedule. I need some consistency to consistently make the right decision over and over, and to know why I'm doing it. Like I'm not doing it to be mean to my kids. I'm not making them do chores to be mean to them. I'm teaching them responsibility. There is a time to empathize. You said two things that really stuck with me, that it's okay to empathize. And then you also said, and maybe it was a conversation where we weren't even recording, but just that their brains are not fully developed. So while you empathize, you also have to be the adult and the parent and draw the line in the sand. I sometimes feel like, I remember feeling this way with Cooper when he was Chase's age. This angst, this changing of everything about the kid, from little kid to not quite adult. I remember feeling this way with Cooper, like if I could just sit down and rationalize it, like if he could hear my heart and know that I'm for him, then all these problems would go away. And Brian's like, yeah, but he can't.
Yeah.
Like he cannot think like you think yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of give and take, like the empathizing, but still saying, oh, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Okay, here's the line. We're not going to cross it. And I get it that you don't agree.
Yeah. Rationalizing, I feel like gets you nowhere with.
I just so bad came today wanting you to tell me, go back and tell him how you're feeling about all this. But it would be rationalizing.
Yeah.
Like, let me explain to you what triggered me that caused me to get so angry because it's my great love for you and wanting you to be a responsible human being when you leave our house.
But realistically, I'm reading the situation, it probably isn't your great love for Chase that made you angry with him.
What is it?
It's you and wanting things a certain way and your expectations and them not being met. And which is perfectly reasonable as a human being.
Sure.
To be.
That's interesting because what my mind would tell me after it all plays out, and I'm in my room stewing, and he's upstairs in his room stewing, and I'm just thinking like, I mean, he doesn't even realize how much I love him and want what's best for him. But you're right. In that moment, I don't know that I cared one thing about him. The dishes were driving me crazy and causing me stress.
Yeah.
And I took it out on him. Was it his responsibility? Yes. Should there have been a consequence? Yes. Was I properly reading myself? Maybe not.
And that's what you can apologize for.
Oh, that's really helpful. Okay.
These people that we are living with don't know what's good for them.
Yeah.
They really, really don't know what's good for them because left to their own devices, they would sit and eat candy and watch TV all day long until they make themselves sick.
Sure.
So for us to say, no, you are going to exercise right now, or you are going to go play outside.
Yeah.
Don't come back in until you've had 30 minutes of fun.
There is a family in my neighborhood. I'm sure that that's what's happening because every day around the same time, I see these three siblings on a walk. But it's hilarious. And I maybe this is judgmental. I'll say it and you can tell me. It's perplexing to me. It's very interesting. So the three kids go out on a walk and they look to be maybe 12, 10, 6. But they all are walking next to each other, staring at their phone.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, that mom kicked them out of the house, said, you need to go outside. But they're still they're walking and they're looking down. I'm like, they're going to trip and fall. Every day, same time, all three of them walking together.
Yeah. You guys go for a walk.
Get sunshine. Mom is like, you guys need to get outside and go for a walk.
Well, maybe she listens and she'll know now that they're looking at their phones.
Maybe she doesn't know.
Keep the phones.
Maybe this is yet one more thing I can write on the community Facebook page.
Yeah.
That mom that's I'm kidding.
Post a picture, scribble out their faces, post a picture.
Does anyone recognize these children? Because they're on a walk, but they're scrolling on their phones. Just needed you to know. No, I would not. But they don't know what is good for them yet.
Yeah.
So.
Even at 20, they're still learning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging with us as we survive summer together. Some weeks are more fun than others, but we're doing it together and we're glad you're with us. So thanks again for joining us on Life in Motion, and we'll see you next time.